Join along with me as I forge one of my favorite pommels that I've ever made from a giant katana from a very popular anime called Jujutsu Kaisen. So on the main channel, I put out a video about 1.5 years ago of making the Split Soul Katana from JJK. And in that, I forged this pommel. And to be honest, it was one of my favorite forgings I ever did. Maybe not one of my best technical forgings, but I had an idea how I was going to make this, and I just did it. I didn't really plan it out. I just was like, hey, I'm going to forge this puppy. And it's really cool. It's like a demon kind of snarling face in the anime and in the manga, and I just really like the design of it, and I decided to do it kind of as a rough forged piece. And I wanted to do it all in the hot work and do no sculpting like I normally do, grinding or using Dremels or using engravers or anything like that. Just wanted to do it all as forging. I'm not known for the forging, but yeah, I thought it was a great opportunity to do so. And since I had basically 20 minutes of footage of making it and only a minute of it made it into the actual episode, I thought this would be a good opportunity to put up a longer form of doing this process. To get things started, I did what's called upsetting. I needed a little more material out where the mouth would be. So I first used the swage block and used a sledgehammer, and then I went to the anvil and just kind of moved some material around. And the next step is to start creating the mouth. To do that, I'm just going to be using a hot cut and take my time, make sure that line is nice and straight. Basically turn this into kind of a Pac-Man looking face. Just need to split the mouth in two. In Jujutsu Kaisen, this face, this mouth kind of animates, kind of growls and snarls, looks like it'll bite you. So one of the challenges that I have is to make a stagnant object in the end look like it could just close its mouth and bite you, look like it's animated. Well, that is one of my goals here. Let's see if I'm successful. Started off using pretty light taps just to make sure my cut was spot on. And then I can reheat this material, get it hot again, and really start going to town on it. From there, I'm actually going to flip the hammer around that I'm using in my right hand and use the back side of the hammer, which is actually soft. The front side is hard. It's kind of brutal on your top tool. So we'll switch around and use that back side of the Japanese bladesmithing hammer. You might be thinking, why wouldn't you just saw open the initial slit of the mouth and then do a little forging? You definitely could do that. As I stated in the top, I just wanted to challenge myself to be able to do all of this in the forging. And you know what? It was really fun. I don't regret it at all. Very rewarding at the end to be able to say, I forged this thing. You know, Matt, the blade grinder, actually did a pretty cool kind of sculptural forging. Not something I do a lot, but I highly enjoy it. Just a quick side note, the hot cut tool that I'm using is made for the power hammer, so you'll see this wedge pop out right here. Most people don't even wedge their top tools, and that's for a safety thing, so you don't have shock running all the way up that handle to your hand and actually causing it to fall out. It's better to have the head of that top tool be able to move a little on the shaft, so that's why that is just like that. Safety. Yeah, that's what we do around here. Safety. Sure. So at this point, I got the slit for the mouth made, and now I'm just gonna kind of use the hammer to move the material around. I need to create that little lip that will be the start of the teeth. So I'm kind of upsetting again, but I'm also using the peen side of a hammer to kind of move the material, kind of drag it towards the mouth side, and you'll see that it starts to create a little ridge there. So, you know, like your teeth kind of have a little hangover. So I wanted to create that all in the forging by just kind of pinching and moving that material closer and closer. I'll do this on the top jaw and on the bottom jaw, but I don't think I recorded the bottom jaw, but you'll see before I start the chiseling that I do it. As you can see here, just that little curl over is all I was looking for. And now it's time to start doing the chiseling. First I use a straight chisel and just make the straight lines that divide each tooth. Kind of doing this by eye. It's okay to mark it. If you feel more comfortable, you can actually use the chisel to mark that material while it's cold. Or use, chalk or anything like that. But I just kind of freehanded the spaces, made sure they were even. Usually do one cut in the top, and then I do a lighter cut down where that little lip hangover is. Some people prefer to use a longer chisel to get your hand away from the hot material when doing this work. That's plenty okay. For me, I'd rather just throw on a heavy-duty welding glove and use a shorter chisel. I feel like it gives me more control. To each his own. I wouldn't preach one way or the other, but I definitely like having that heavy glove on there to make sure my hand's not getting roasted as you do this work. You can see here we got our divider lines in and bigger teeth in the middle, slightly narrow teeth on the end. I think that just kind of looks good and gives a little depth. And now I'm going to use a kind of U-shaped chisel to create the tops of the teeth. You'll notice in a little bit that I didn't relieve the bottom of this U-shaped chisel quite enough on the first row. And I make a slight adjustment before I do the bottom set of teeth. It still looks pretty good, but you can see kind of the bottom of the chisel hitting, kind of making a circle when I really wanted a U. But I make all the proper adjustments later on and get that fixed up. But I thought this was a really cool way of just kind of making the part where your teeth join the gums look realistic. And at the very end, I use a hammer again and kind of push the gums back onto the teeth a little bit. Not something I've really seen anybody else do, but it just kind of came to me that this is how I was going to do it. And it turned out pretty slick. Now that the material is slightly cooler, I'm going back to the straight chisel and kind of chasing in my lines to connect that U to the initial divider lines. They didn't connect just perfectly, so I'm just using that straight chisel to kind of make those lines all meet up right where they need to. And this is how it turned out. Some of them where you can see that full circle kind of look like a finger, but in general I think it looks really great. And here you can see how I modified the U-shaped chisel and relieved a lot more of it so I don't get any of the bottom part of that chisel striking. So that bottom row of teeth really turned out so much better than the top row, if you ask me. And I had relieved the chisel initially for that top row, but I guess I didn't do it enough. Just like the top row, I'm now returning to the straight chisel to chase in the lines and just connect the U-shapes, the gum line lines, if you will, to the dividing teeth lines. This whole project was really cool to forge. I really enjoyed making this sword in general. It was my last real big project that I did at the old shop at Mount Phillip Metalworks. And people had been asking for a Jujutsu Kaisen build for a while, and it was cool to do one that was all forged. I mean, I forged that blade out of wrought iron and forged the pommel, forged the subi even. Definitely a build that was out of my wheelhouse, but it's one of those things as a craftsman that you just gotta do new things sometimes. Get out of your comfort zone. Here I'm just kind of using a light taps of the hammer to kind of planish everything, push the material around a little, get that like clean chisel look on, kind of gunk it up, make it look a little more gnarly, if you will. As I said at the top, this is one of my favorite things I've ever forged. It's definitely not like the cleanest or most like elaborate forging I've ever done, but it turned out exactly what I wanted it to be. Just a rough forged, all forged to shape, no grinding, kind of demonic looking face, and it's exactly what I think this sword needed. This whole build was really awesome. You should check out the full build video over on our main channel, That Works. Be sure to like this video, really trying to build this channel, so subscribe too, and also click this video right here to see the full build. You won't regret it. Thanks a lot, and I appreciate each and every one of you. See you later.